Hello, and welcome to Jammin Jukebox, your radio show. I am your host, DJ Delta Dawn, and oh my gosh, it is Friday Eve, as I like to call it. It is, I don't even like to refer to it as Thursday. It is Friday Eve, and tomorrow and the weekend are happening. And I am thrilled. I'm telling you, I am thrilled because tonight, our guest, I've been wanting to have him on our show for a little while now because he is a phenomenal musician. He is a brand new radio show host who sounds like he has been at it forever. And it's just such an honor. Hello, Rob Anthony Dyer.
Dawn, well, thank you. That was quite the intro. I hope I can live up to such a...
Well, I think so. I try to give everybody the same, equal intro, man. I mean, you are somebody. So,
thank you.
Welcome. I'm so glad to have you on the show tonight and to finally get to chat with you about your music. I mean, I've talked to a lot of indie artists from all over the world, but it's kind of cool because you and I have kind of crossed paths on, social media, Twitter, and what have you, and, we're both doing the Blog Talk Radio thing, and so it's a little different dynamic for you and I than the traditional indie artists that I interview, and it's an honor as well, so thank you so much for making time for us tonight. So, and I'm just glad that you didn't have a show. I mean, that's kind of cool, so you were able to be on my show.
It worked out well. And it worked out well because starting my show, I've actually been spending less time promoting my music, so this is really good for me. And again, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, you're so welcome. Well, the way I see it, your music was your first love, and the radio thing kind of happened by accident, and it's been a great accident. So, we got to keep the music front and center. I mean, I heard your music some time ago, not long after I kind of got into this whole indie show thing and promoting these indie artists, and I was like, man, he's good, and you really are, and I mean, you're so talented, and so I'm just glad that now it finally worked out to where you could be here and we could chat about it, because, you still need to keep, pimping that stuff out, man. It's good stuff.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot, because, when you work so hard on something, and most of that, my solo album, it did take me a little longer than I care to admit, but I did have a major accident where I lost my right eardrum, so a lot of it was done prior to that, and then I kind of had on a hiatus for a while and several surgeries later, then I could hear again. So, but it's really nice to hear that when someone connects with it, because, for the longest time, nobody was hearing it really, and I was like, am I just doing this for myself? Am I being self-indulgent? So it's really nice when somebody else appreciates it, and then I think probably the most meaningful thing ever the other night, someone told me that one of my songs, they're having a really hard time, and that one of my songs got them through the weekend, and I think that was just the most powerful thing anyone's ever said to me, and that just said, this is why I make music.
Well, the thing about it is that what I've learned about, I think indie artist music, period, across the board, is the best music going, because you're not, chained to a major record label. I mean, there would be nice advantages to have a record label, in some respects, but your creativity is not sandwiched and squashed. It is, you can be as creative as you want to be. You can make the kind of music you want to make. If you want to do 10 different genres, you can do 10 different genres. I mean, and that's the beauty of it. The sky's the limit. I mean, and so there's no limitations that you can put on yourself unless you put them on yourself. You don't have a record label telling you that hey, this is what you got to do, and you got to have that it factor, and let's go do this, and this is what the masses are screaming for. I mean, it's great in a way, although it'd be nice to have the money that backs it up.
It would. I mean, that's the catch-22 about it. I mean, with CD Baby, I use CD Baby as my distributor, and I'm sure you've talked to many different artists who mentioned CD Baby. It's really the easiest way to get your music out there, to get it on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, even Spotify, where people could stream it. And, they give you a UPC barcode, which normally if you were to get one on your own, it would cost hundreds of dollars. It costs like $20 through them. You can use your own record label name, and by having a UPC barcode, you can then sell it in stores. Like if you want to actually sell CDs in any store that wants to stock them, you can. And it's trackable, it's SoundScan, it can make the Billboard charts for selling up. Not that I'm even close to that, but it's really cool because, like you said, you don't have a record label to answer to. However, what I would love someday would be to have a distribution deal with have a distributor who, where, rather than being signed to a record label, I don't even know if I would want that anymore. But there are artists who do get distribution deals so they can still maintain their own creativity. I don't think I'd want to be super famous rock star. I did when I was 20, but not anymore.
Well, you know, there are its pros and cons to everything being the super famous rock star, but you know, it at the same time, the way social media has just exploded, and everyday people like me can get on, you know, social media and promote, you know, my show, and you're promoting your show. I mean, it has really created a platform for musicians in particular to really put their music out there, be it through YouTube or through CD Baby or Noise Trade or any one of these different mediums where they can actually put their music out and, you know, make it available for download if they choose. And it's just so many different options now that weren't available to artists who were trying to make it, you know, like, say, even 5 years ago, it seems like. So it's really awesome Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. CD Baby, I mean, my first, the first official album I released with my old band was about 10 years ago, and we did use CD Baby then. But you're right, the social media thing wasn't what it is now at all. I don't think Twitter existed, and I think then you may have had MySpace or something. And then being a solo artist, you know, I'm not really able to tour right now because I don't have a band, and I played most of the instruments myself on the album. I did have some, you know, people play certain things when I wasn't, you know, I felt like I just needed another lead guitarist or whatever. But, you know, I could do acoustic shows, which I was doing for a while, but I got really sick of that. So, but, I mean, it is important to tour, and I would love to do that, and I'm working on trying to come up with a plan for that and also making a video for one or two of my songs because I know that's key to get that out there now, but like with YouTube, like you were saying. So, but yes, it is. So the reason I joined Twitter was basically because I decided to release my album, and that's why I finally gave in and joined Twitter.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Twitter is one of those phenomenons that when I first joined, I was like, what is this, and what am I supposed to do here? I was so confused, you know, but it's like once you get the, you know, it took me all of maybe just a day or two to get the hang of it, and it was like, oh, this is the coolest thing on earth, you know.
Yeah,
and it's great for what you're trying to do with your music. It's great for what we're trying to do with the radio shows. I mean, Twitter is the bomb, as they say. So it's, you know, it really is, I think, the best social medium platform out there to promote, you know, anything like that. And I'm glad that you joined because I probably would have never met you otherwise. Maybe in some far recesses of searching for indie music, I would have come across you at some point. But I love the fact we crossed paths this way because really that's about how I've met all of the indie artists that I've had on the show here and all the music that I play. So it's really it's so cool how you can network and with so many different people that have the same interests that you do. You know, and musically for musicians and artists, it can open so many doors that, you know, otherwise would have never been open, and that's the beauty of it, you know.
Yep, because you meet people that you can learn stuff from them, and you can help each other out in different ways. And even just doing the radio hosting thing, it's amazing how accessible a lot of the actors that I've interviewed are, especially on, like, I have to give props to the Young and the Restless because they're just the nicest group of people, and they're just so down to earth and so interactive and cooperative that I've just been able to just get so many guests from that show, and they're just all incredible. But yeah, and I've interviewed other indie artists, and it's like, oh, cool, you know about this, and I've learned stuff from them, and it is a great thing. But and you know, it took me a little while to kind of get the whole Twitter etiquette thing down. It's like, okay, wait a minute, I got to be careful if I say this because somebody's gonna take it the wrong way and blow it out of proportion. And you know, you make a joke and people don't know you're joking, and then it's just, you know how that goes.
Yeah, and then you have, you know, so many characters that you try to squeeze a paragraph into, you know, and you know, and suddenly a single letter stands for an entire word kind of thing, and then it's like, oh my gosh, but it's really
like,
kind of a cool thing.
My abbreviation came out the wrong way, or I'm using Siri and
exactly.
dictation, and it spelled something bad, you know. But no, I mean, it is a good thing.
I want to talk about, like, when you first decided you wanted to do. I mean, is music something you've always kind of been drawn to, or did this kind of happen for you? You know, really?
I can't remember a time when I wasn't into music. My mom was a classically trained opera singer. She was singing opera with me in the womb. She played the opera Faust, you know, Sister Angelica, the pregnant nun, and she was actually pregnant with me. She said when she would stop singing, I'd start kicking. And so I think I started playing piano when I was 4. And, you know, I was really good as a kid. I was better when I was like 8 years old than I am now, but far better. I could play Bach inventions and Chopin and stuff, which now I don't have the chops for, and I also have arthritis. So. But then I was singing too as a kid, and then, you know, you go through the awkward Peter Brady phase. So kind of didn't sing for a while, and I started learning guitar. And then there came a time where I just felt like I want to write my own music. I don't want to learn other people's music. And I started singing, and I started recording myself on a 4-track, which I live next door to somebody who was actually a pretty famous rock musician in Massachusetts, of all places. So, you know, I won't say exactly who it is, but there's only been a few bands out of Boston that are famous, so you can probably guess it's probably like one of 4 people. Anyway,
that narrows it down for us.
Yeah, it narrows it down to like 4 or 5 people. But anyways,
yeah, exactly.
You know, but he was awesome because, you know, I babysat his kids, and I met a lot of his rock star friends that came to visit and babysat some of their kids. But I always thought of them as normal people. So I'm kind of getting all over the place here. So, but he loaned me his 4-track, you know, cassette 4-track and a microphone and what effects pedals I needed to record, and encouraged me to write my own music. And as I would record and listen to my vocals and sing, I kind of was able to develop my singing skills. And then I said, you know what, I really don't care to be a lead guitarist anymore. So I stopped trying to practice, like, you know, Randy Rhoads' song, you know, Metallica solos and stuff like that. And I just focused on songwriting and playing rhythm guitar and taught myself bass and a little bit of drums. I wanted to learn a little bit of everything. And, you know, even before that, when I was a kid, I used to walk around the house and Mom said with a little mini cassette recorder, humming and singing songs into it when I was 4 or 5 years old. So I was always recording stuff, always, since I can remember. And then, you know, 10 or so years ago, I got a Mac with Pro Tools and just been recording everything in my home studio since.
That is awesome. I mean, and the fact that you have been a part of music and music has been a part of you for your entire life, I mean, man, the stories, especially having famous next door neighbors, I mean, my gosh. Yeah. And what a great way to cut your tooth. Go ahead. That's
also helped me with, like, I think because I grew up next door to somebody, and, you know, his wife sat me down the first day that I met him. She's like, don't talk to him about his career unless he brings it up first. And she's like, don't tell the kids at school, because when we lived in California, you know, my hairdressers, cousins, plumbers, ex-roommates, you know, whatever, would call us up, and people would just always bug them, can I get tickets, backstage passes? So I respected that. I never, you know, of course there were other kids in the neighborhood who leaked it out, and so people would come up to me, oh, can I get your neighbor's autograph? Can I meet him? Can I have the phone number? I was like, no, you can't, no. And so I think that it's actually helped me, like, with my radio show, because I'm kind of used to dealing with celebrities, even though I didn't grow up in California. And I just, you know, so I, you know, a lot of people on Twitter you see, please follow me, and they get a little nutty with it. It's just, to me, people are people. There's good people, bad people, whether you're famous or not, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because I'm sure you may have thought about this, but you should have that person on your show. You would never have to tell the audience that.
I have thought about that. I was thinking about that because his kids that I used to babysit are only like 5 and 6 years younger than him, so now we could totally be friends, you know. But I don't know if I don't think they still live where they used to. I have to try to find them. I could probably find the sons on Facebook or something. I got to do that. Yeah. You should
seriously. I mean, you'd never have to put it out there that, you know, he was your next door neighbor, but you know, that would be a cool interview. Think about that.
Okay, I'll just say he was one of the guitarists in the band Boston. Okay. that. So, you know.
Well, that's all. We'll leave it there. How about that?
Right. Yeah.
I don't want you to get in trouble after all these years.
Oh no, I won't get in trouble now.
Here on my show, you're spilling it. So anyway.
No. And plus, you know, it's not like I'm giving out the address or the town. It's fine to say that, you know.
Well, all right. As long as you say so, that's cool with me.
Yeah.
And now, you know, your music. I love I mean, I guess it's a no-brainer that you have kind of a rock sound to you, and is it a true rock sound, or because I hear, when I'm listening to your music, I mean, I hear a lot of different classic rock influences, and now we understand.
What do you think?
You know,
like, what do you hear? I'm curious. Which bands would you say?
Well,
classic rock?
You know, to me, it's just kind of like, I can't say there's like a particular band that just jumps out of your music per se, but when I hear your music, I'm like retroing it back into, you know, late '70s, '80s
late
era,
'70s
'90s
in England or something. That's my influences are like probably like definitely like the glam rock '70s, David Bowie, obviously and also like Heart even. I love their acoustic electric blend in the '70s. Ann Wilson's my favorite singer of all time. And then, of course, the early '90s, like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Nirvana, that kind of stuff. So, you're right. You're right on with that. The '80s, I kind of maybe accidentally will have some '80s pop hooks in there melodically, but I try to stay. I mean, the '80s were a decade of fun, but not so much substance. And again, with the 2000s, I think there's been a lot of fluff without substance for the most part.
Well, like I said, I would never say that you sound just like someone because you don't. You sound just like Rob Anthony Dyer to me. But
well, thank you. That's a great compliment. And then with the fact that you said classic,
it's cool. It's cool that you've taken, you pulled in some of those, kind of old school rock sounds because I don't know about you, but I love the whole '80s hair band era. I mean, my favorite band. And let's play some trivia. Who do you think my favorite rock band was from the '80s? Now, they were popular.
Poison.
No, I was not into the hair and makeup kind of girly girl bands. No.
Okay, White Snake.
Now, I like Poison. I like Poison and I like White Snake, but they were not, they were not like I would say up there on my list in my top three. But you could be guessing all day because think how many '80s bands there were.
Yeah,
well, my all-time favorite band is Journey, and
Journey. Okay, Journey.
Journey, yeah.
I can't sing that. I cannot sing that high. I mean, there have been a couple times where I've actually been able to like sing with. I don't know how it happened, but it was almost to kick me in the balls or something. But Steve Perry's got quite the high voice. He sings higher than most women do. And then their new singer, the Asian guy, if you're not looking at the screen, you think it's Steve Perry. They sound exactly alike.
Yes, I know. The first time I heard, the new guy sing, I was just blown away. I was like, really, this is crazy. But I have a real good friend here. He's probably a bigger Journey fan than I am, but he and I have had this conversation many times about, gosh, it would be so cool if Journey would one more time, just for the old time's sake, just do one tour with Steve Perry. Steve Perry will not do a tour with him.
No, I saw the Journey behind the music. He definitely won't do it.
Yeah, it's so.
You never know, though. You never know how many bands have said that, and then 5 or 10 years later, they're broke and they need money, or they they get over whatever their grudge is, and like, look at there's Ozzy touring Black Sabbath again. Who thought that would ever happen?
I know, it's the truth. And so, and then my second favorite band is Def Leppard, and third Van Halen. So but
okay.
I was kind of all over the map music. I mean, I've always been kind of the chick that liked all kinds of music, but I was never the rocker chick that followed the bands around like some of my friends from high school. Everywhere you had your groupies, man, and I was not a groupie, but I loved. I wasn't a groupie, but I love music. I mean, one day I might be all Def Leppard, the next day I might be, Bobby Brown or some R&B group, or I'm just throwing names out. But seriously, I really liked a little bit of everything, and I still am that way today. So I really hated. I was kind of excited when alternative rock came in.
Yeah, me too.
But it really did put. It did back burner and put hair band rock off the table pretty much altogether.
Well, the hair band thing was fun, but there was, like I said, by the late '80s, there was not a lot of substance to the art of it, and like the record labels were the ones deciding how they looked and who wrote the songs. I mean, even artists that have been around forever couldn't even write their own songs anymore. So, then when Nirvana kind of hit big with Smells Like Teen Spirit, it kind of changed the game, which I thought was great. And it was cool. It's like, guys with like baritone voices can actually be lead singers, because in the '80s you had to be like a male soprano practically. Yeah. And I couldn't do that. I was an Iron Maiden singing an octave lower. I can kind of pull it off now, but not with a bottle of vodka like I tried before and lost my voice. But I digress. But I grew up listening to like the Beatles, David Bowie, Old Heart. I'd have to say those are my three biggest earliest influences on me musically, probably. And And then, like, Sgt. Pepper was the first album I had. I was 5 on record. And, of course, I used to listen to Olivia Newton-John, and I don't know if you've heard my cover of Physical that I did. It's kind of like goth grungy.
I have not heard that. I actually tried. One day I was like, after I kind of came across your music, I was looking for it. Is it on YouTube? Did you put it on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. It is on YouTube.
It is. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to go back because I didn't see it that particular day I was looking, but I will look again because I really want to, check it out because I've heard, I knew either a tweet you sent or something out. I thought that's.
Yeah. I'll tweet it out to you. I can't release it yet officially, like, because there's a few covers I've done that I like and I want to release. And that was just an experiment, kind of a random experiment that I did one night at like 3 a.m, but I'd always wanted to try to take that song and do something with it. And people really like it. And I also did just a newer mix where I sped it up, and I think it's a little cooler, a little faster. But, and my YouTube page, unfortunately, like, I have to figure out how to reorder it because the stuff I've uploaded more recently is first, and it's like all my really old demos from when I was 16. And I'm like, oh, my God, I don't want this to be the first thing people hear from me. But, Physical, it was fun doing that, and I have a whole bunch of covers of it, but you have to go through these formalities, where it's not like you have to ask permission, but you have to send official notice to the owner of the publishing rights that you're going to be releasing the song. They cannot say no, but that way everything's filed so if it does make money that they get their fair share. And there's a service online that does it for you, and it's really not expensive. But right now, the money's that tight that I can't even afford like the $20 per song that costs for that.
Yeah.
So, because I was thinking, I was going to release an album of covers that I've already recorded, but like it's $20 per song plus the barcode plus the, just even if I put it up digitally without making CDs, that's several $100 there. So, something to think about.
Well, gosh, you should do you should do what a lot of these indies are doing and do, like an Indiegogo or, some type of fundraiser. Look into that because the stuff is too good, to just be sitting out there on YouTube so people can watch videos and hear your music. I mean, it needs to be out so that people, I know it's on iTunes, people can download it, but man, to put out an album, your new album of covers or what, that would be so cool. And by the way, speaking of covers, I did hear your mix-up, mash-up, whatever you called it.
With Michael Damian, Rock
Michael
On.
Damian, yes. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh!
He dared me to record it.
Rob.
Well, he dared me to record it. I was joking. I was on iTunes, and I said, I was like, oh, Michael, I got this karaoke version of Rock On there. I said I should download it, record it. He's like, I dare you to, and I want a copy today. So I said, okay. So I did it. I emailed it to him or whatever. And then when I had him as a guest on my show, I decided to do a mashup mix where I'd like spliced his and my version together. And, because I didn't have a co-host, so I had to screen call. So I'm like, oh, hey, Michael, I have a song, I want to play. You want to check it out? And like, yeah, sure. So I played that in screen calls. And he came back. When I came back, he's like, did you mix you and me together? He's like, wow. It was pretty funny. It was cool. And it was a great compliment. He's like, I'd love to work with you someday. So that would be awesome,
Oh my, wouldn't it though? I mean, he's such a great artist, and
he is.
Everything he puts out is just like gold, But when I heard that, I was like, gosh, I mean, Rob is. I've said this about so many indie artists that I've interviewed, and heard their music, but I can say you're no exception, and that is, when I heard your music and I've heard, how you perform and everything on a song, to me, I'm like, why is he not already signed? Why has he not been signed in the past? Because, you really have a great voice for it. Close, you said?
You're close to it a couple times, yeah. But unfortunately, I was in a band where, if there's just that one person that isn't quite as dedicated as the rest of the people, there's that one weak link in the band that just ruins everything. And sometimes I think just because the person was a close friend, I should have just thought more businesslike and, fire the person or whatever. But yeah, I almost won. There's a song in 1999 I recorded an EP. I was really young, I was like 20 years old, and I almost, when GarageBand.com first started, they totally changed now. But when they first started, you entered songs into a contest, and you have to go through rounds and rounds and rounds with like hundreds of thousands of songs of competition. And And then the winner of the final round got a $250,000 recording deal. They eventually, and their board of reviewers were famous producers like George Martin, Jerry Harrison, from the Talking Heads, like all these major, like super famous producers, right? Well, one of my songs from that EP made it to #1 in genre alternative rock, and I made it into like the final countdown, like the final countdown. I made it in the top 20 of like 100-something thousand songs, and I was like, whoa. So I came really close to winning a record deal, and it took like a year of being on there. And I was kind of encouraged yet discouraged at the same time. And that was a solo thing where I just wrote. I did a 5-song EP, and on the EP I did all the vocals, and I recorded some of the guitars and bass, and then I had a drummer and then a lead guitarist. And it was more like solo thing. And I just remastered it like this week, and it sounds a lot better. So I'm thinking of re-releasing that officially, But
should.
Yeah, and then my other band's album, we call it Insider because I hate the name, but it's like there's also other bands with that same name. It's still on CD Baby. The CDs are gone, but you can still download it. And it was our first attempt with Pro Tools. It was all over the place, We've got like. Talk about eclectic, I think I dropped the price to like $5, but it was fun. I learned a lot about production and mixing, and then my friend worked in California for HK Management, who handled like Sheryl Crow and Lenny Kravitz. He was like the assistant to Sheryl Crow and Lenny Kravitz's manager, and she actually listened to the entire CD, which they never do. She probably did it. They don't take unsolicited material, but she did it as a favor to my friend. And she told him, usually they listen to like maybe a minute and then toss it in the trash. Well, she actually listened to every song in its entirety and told my friend that if we were able to like kind of hone our sound a bit and be a little less all over the place, she'd consider signing us. I mean, this was huge coming from Sheryl Crow and Lenny Kravitz's manager. So I told my band this, and we then started working on our next album. And we tried to, it was sounding more consistent. We had more, less experimentation, kind of like more consistent guitar sounds and drum sounds and whatever. And then we broke up, I punctured my eardrum, and then the band broke up, and it just kind of all fell to shit,
Oh,
and
wow.
Those are the 2 times where I almost got record deal.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, but had I gotten record deals back at those times in my life, I probably might not be sitting here right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if I've been really ready.
Well, the thing, at least, I was dead on in that you should have already been signed because, and little did I know that you had that brush with greatness twice, of getting the record deal.
Well, yeah, it happens with my family. My grandfather was, he was a jazz musician and stuff. He played in bands, Les Brown, you've heard of him. And Doris Day would sing with him. So but he was a backup musician, and he was sort of always resentful of that. My mom missed her callback audition for the New York Metropolitan Opera because she was pregnant with me and had morning sickness. Now, she was 28 years old, 115 pounds, 5'6", beautiful, with the voice of a 300-pound, whale. So all right, picture Elizabeth Montgomery from Bewitched, but with a big opera voice. That's kind of what she looks like.
Oh, wow.
So I always feel guilty. I'm like, Mom, you would have been a shoo-in with your looks and your voice, and it's my fault you didn't make it because, she got called back. It was like, it wasn't like her first audition. They wanted her back, and So I'm the third generation in my mom's side of the family to almost have a brush with greatness.
Well, but obviously the musical genes go very deep, and that's indicative in your music and your talent, and you're just awesome. I mean, I enjoy your music so much, and there are many out there who do. And so, in fact, we will, be promoting it here on our station, and also we're on a radio station. I have a radio station over on Live 365, which I've had since 2007. So it just plays music in rotation 24/7, 365.
Is that on like iTunes Radio or?
No, it's not iTunes. And they have not made the switch to iTunes, although I know they're doing some changing of some of their platforms. But all their stuff is built in through live365.com, and I'll send you the link to the station so you can check it out.
Yeah, cool. And is that through stereo sound? Blog Talk, that's what I hate about Blog Talk when we have musicians on, is it sounds like AM radio mono. you know.
Well,
so,
it depends. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that broadcasters can upload music to different, I'm
saying blog talk in general only, broadcasts in mono, so that's what.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll be happy to add your stuff to rotation, and I do a lot for a lot of the indie artists, so that it can at least be played and be heard. And then, of course, I do my indie artist showcase on Saturday nights, and I feature indie artist music, and I like to always play, some of those that I really like. So you'll be in the mix there too. So we'll help promote it. And if you get the other EP out, just send it my way, and I'll.
I'm giving away a 15-song album of stuff that I basically just rediscovered a lot of tracks that I thought I'd lost, and not only just the mix downs, but sessions of unfinished songs that I've just been remixing this week. So there's songs that I haven't heard in a long time. I'm remixing, remastering stuff, and there's a free 15-song album that I just put bonus tracks that I'm giving away. So, and some of them are good. Some of them I might actually work on another album. And I'm like, why didn't I include that? What was I thinking? At the time, I don't know. I have so much stuff. Really, it's amazing.
Well, the great thing is you do have so much stuff, and I love when indie artists say this, because it's like, well, you've just got material for the next album. If you can't put it all on one current EP or one album, hey, there you go. There's your next album right there. So, and that's the great thing about it. But, before we wrap, I've got to talk to you about your new radio show, because, I want my listeners to hear all about it and check you out, in your show sometime, because I can tell you, I've not, because I'm on the air, it seems like all the time. I run 3 radio shows, so it's like, I'm on the air more than I'm off. Yeah.
Do you have a personal assistant or what?
No, her name is Dawn Mack, or DJ Delta Dawn, and whichever show I'm referring to. But I have this one, I have Behind the Mic Radio, and I have Life Beach Radio. So
I know
it's just
I know. How does she do all this?
Honestly, I don't know myself. If I did, I would be making millions, I guess, because I could clone myself. But
exactly.
It's crazy. But I would love for my listeners to check out your show, because I'm on the air so much, I haven't been able to listen to every single one of your shows, but I have caught bits and pieces in 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there. Man, you are a great host. I've always thought that about you. Every time I've ever heard you on air, I love the way you interact with, your guests, and it just flows, and it's such an enjoyable listen. It's one of those things, I like to turn it on if I'm in the middle of doing something for one of my shows. I could do that. Now, I caught some of your show the other night, the Jenny Cooper tribute, and great job, man.
Thank you. That was really tough.
Good.
We wanted to make sure it was respectful and didn't want to seem like we were capitalizing on her death, because this was obviously not something we planned ahead of time or anything. As soon as I found out that she passed, we knew it may have been coming, and I had already talked to Danny and said, if Jeannie does pass away, I'd love to do a tribute show to her, but let's obviously wait. We're not going to jump the gun, because she was doing better. And then, so I put it together. I did invite some of the YNR cast members, like past and present. Some of them said they would try to call in, but I think they were just all grieving too much, and which is okay, because I didn't want to make it about celebrities. It was just about people were crying. She touched so many lives. It was really tough. It was like I was emotional,
Yeah, and I was, because as I was listening, I caught about the first 30 minutes, and I was like, how is he holding it together? Because now,
I was hitting mute. I was hitting mute a lot.
Well, it's amazing, because in the time that I've had my Behind the Mic show, which is in a couple months now, from the moment I decided I was going to do Behind the Mic, I reached out to her publicist and tried to get her on my show, because she had been on a friend of mine's show, and I had co-hosted with her back last December, and that was. I'm so glad we got that. I didn't have that opportunity for my show, but I'm so glad that we have that, because what a great memory.
Me too.
And
I know.
Just to be able to talk with her, and she was so incredibly gracious. And so it was. I don't know about you, Rob, but when Pam and I found out, that, of course, we'd been following on Facebook all of Corbin's, posts, and, oh, my gosh, those were tearjerkers, and even still are.
Oh, yeah.
But,
what a strong man. He's so strong.
Oh, yeah, and but when she and I found out, it was just like we had lost our grandmother, or we had lost our friend. I was, I don't know about you. Now, you tell me if you feel the same way. And you mentioned it a little bit.
I do, because my grandmother, my Italian Nana, as she called, she watched her stories, You been quiet, you were watching my stories. So she got me hooked into soaps. So when Larry Hagman died, she loved Dallas. She loved to swear at the TV, and that was like, she passed away, when I was in early teens. So I was very, very close to her. And so watching soaps has always been a way I felt like I stayed connected with her. And so Larry Hagman's death and then Jeannie Cooper's death, it felt like I lost my grandmother in two ways. Like Jeannie Cooper was like a surrogate grandmother of me for years by watching her, but also because I associated her with my grandmother as well.
Yeah, and it was really hard, and I know Pam and I have had this conversation many times, but it's so different now that you and me and Pam are all doing the radio show thing, and we're interviewing celebrities, daytime stars. It is so weird because it's like when I had Eric Braeden on, and the very next day I'm seeing him on YNR, and I'm like, this is crazy.
I know, isn't
yesterday.
it?
I'm like, he's on my TV screen today. This is crazy. It's like earlier today.
I run Brenda Epperson's fan account on Twitter. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And so she and I have the very first interview I ever did on the show I used to co-host was the Ashley Abbott tribute show where we had all three Ashleys on. And Brenda and I have since become really good friends. And I told her when on the other show when Jeannie was on, I think I texted her or something. I'm like, Jeannie's on, you should call, because I know that she really wanted to talk to her. They kind of lost touch, but they used to be very close. So she literally had just stepped off the plane on vacation in Hawaii, called in and talked to Jeannie. They had the most touching conversation, and I was so glad that happened. And I clipped it and edited it out and sent it to Brenda when Jeannie passed. She said that got her through the day, that she has that forever now. That was so meaningful.
Yeah.
She is
and I'm sure she is glad that she did that too, so that she had that. She has that now forever as a pizza, a final memento.
She called me just to thank me so much, and she's a great person. I really want her back as Ashley. Everybody knows that. I just want Ashley. I love Eileen Davidson. She's great as Kristen. She's the reason I watch Days of Our Lives. But just get one of them back, please. Right.
Well, and Brenda did such a great job in that role.
Right.
She was the closest. She and Eileen are so close. They favor their characteristics and their mannerisms are so close in terms of playing that role that, if Eileen's over on days, then, it's okay, because if you had Brenda on YNR, you feel like you had one, either or, we'll take either or.
Exactly. Yeah, we get both. But no, I'm pretty sure that, I think what's going to happen, and I don't know this for sure, this is just speculation, but I think they're going to try to get Eileen back or something. That's probably their first line of defense, but I'm pretty sure that if it's not Eileen, it's definitely going to be Brenda, because they know they need Ashley, and then why go with something unknown when you know that there's two popular people who've already done the role out there. And then, I love Sherry Shattuck too, but she's the first one to say that Ashley wasn't really the best role for her, But it is weird. I did tell Brenda, I said, if you do go back on YNR, it's going to be really weird to watch you.
I know. And it's funny because Pam and I have had this conversation many times, but it's like, you just come to realize when you're interviewing these people and you realize, and you talk to them as, their real selves and their personal selves, and talk about their personal lives and, somewhat about their characters and what they do. But at the end of the day, what they do for a living is no different than what I or anyone else does for a living. It's just their chosen profession. But at the end of the day, they're real people. They go home to their families. They cook dinner. They scream at their kids for carrying on. They walk the dog. Yep. It's all the same. It's just they're just making a lot more money than we are. And they're in the limelight because of what they do for a living.
Some of them are so like Tracy Bregman, for example, is one of the most down-to-earth people. She's a daytime icon. She's been playing Lauren Fenmore for 30 years. I can't believe she looks like she's only 35 years old at the most.
Oh, no, really.
But she is so sweet and nice. she had a special picture taken just for me at the Y&R 40th party. And then the picture that, I don't know if you follow her blog, Conscious Living, but there's a picture of her holding one of her chickens, and she did that for me too. It was a request. But she was so cool. She literally responds to every personal tweet from fans, every Facebook message, every comment on her blog, unless it's some nut job or something. But she's so cool. I mean, like, she finds the time to do that, and somebody who's been, famous like her for so long is so just like a regular person. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, growing up next door to somebody famous, I think gave me a perspective that some people don't have. So I appreciate what you said about how it just sounds relaxed and candid and natural, because that's what I was going for. I like to build a rapport with my guests and just kind of have the conversation go wherever it may.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I always prepare, but a lot of the guests will say, well, I've even had guests, can you send me questions? And I'm like, well, what kind of interviewing do you do? And I have to say, look, it's conversational style. I could talk till the day is long, so we could talk about anything. But my whole thing is, I just want to convey to the audience that that when they're listening, they're listening to two people, chatting as if they're chatting over a meal or a drink or something, and it's just real relaxed, real conversational. I think because I don't know about you, but I found, just through the experience of doing some interviewing and some shows with Pam that, and even on my own shows, it's funny when actors and actresses don't have their scripts. They are really nervous about being interviewed in a lot of ways.
A lot of them. Yeah.
And so if they just have that relaxed conversational style, let's just chat for 30 minutes or so, it puts them at ease, because then they're not sitting there going, and they have to really think. They're already thinking on set,
Well, when you actually are able to book something through the guest directly, it's always much easier, I think, than when you have to go through a publicist or a manager or something.
Oh, yeah.
It always takes longer, and there's more hoops, But
exactly.
A lot of the guests are very accessible. But I do have some publicist contacts which have been very helpful as well. And they are the people who tend to say, what kind of interview is it? How long will it go? What kind of questions are you going to have?
Yeah.
Well,
20 questions. They're
really
giving me 20 questions.
I tell them it's whatever the guest is comfortable with. I said, if they don't want to do live calls, we won't take live calls. We can do the show pre-recorded. We can do half an hour. We can do an hour. We can just keep it flexible. I said, my goal is to have them show the world whatever they want to show the world, And I like it when fans get to get to know that they're just, this person you've been watching on The Young and the Restless for 20, 30 years, that Tracy is not Lauren Fenwer who's sleeping with Carmine, but she's a real person. She's got a blog about healthy living, and just she's funny, and and it's just because if you go to Tracy's Facebook page, there are people like talking to her as if she's Lauren and she's the one having the affair. And the same people who were complaining a couple months earlier that she wasn't getting any storylines,
Oh, well, I know. It's so funny. And, and as well as I, and I've heard this so many times, I'm sure you have, that daytime fans are the most diehard fans in the world, I do believe. And, next to music fans, I think they're vying for the first place title. But it's seriously crazy how they get the character and, the whole character and the actor mixed up. And I heard an interview with Joshua Morrow one time, and he was saying, I forget where it was, but he was saying that he was walking through the airport one time. Somebody just comes up to him and, and he turns around, and she just hollers off and smacks him, and he says, ma'am?
Yeah, I think
and he was just going on and on, and she was like acting like he was Nick right there in the airport. He said,
like when he cheated on Sharon. Like when he cheated on Sharon with Phyllis. I think I heard that story. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
And he said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm Joshua Murray. I just played Nick Newman on TV, that kind of thing. I'm like, golly, could you imagine if you were someone like that walking through the airport and all of a sudden someone hollers off and smacks you because they can't separate fantasy from reality? It's like,
I know.
My God.
See, that's the thing. That's why I'm fortunate that I grew up with, the neighbor that I had. So, but, it's amazing how well, I think because these people have seen these people in their living rooms for 30, 40 years, and that's all they know, and it's not a conscious thing. I think sometimes it's, it's just an unconscious thing, but, I think it's important that, some of these people are, and you see the tweets, like hate tweets to the actor because they don't like their storyline or something, and it's like, be positive. I'm all about being, constructive criticism, positive feedback and constructive criticism. If you don't like something, don't just bitch about what you don't like. make a suggestion as to how you would improve it, but also compliment what you do like. And Angelica McDaniel, I'm sure you know who she is, senior vice president of CBS Daytime, is awesome. She's so receptive to fan input. She's very interactive on Twitter, and she's actually thanked me for that I'm always constructive, and I'm always positive, and then when I do have a criticism, it's constructive, and that's important. I try to encourage other people to do the same because they do listen. They really do.
Yeah, they do, and I think it's phenomenal what Sony and CBS Daytime has done by she's out there front and center, and she's on social media, and she's interacting with the people who could, the very people that could make or break, The Young and the Restless and Bold and Beautiful and the whole 9 yards. And
that's why they're number one.
So
that's
good.
why. That's why they're number one, because look, ABC and NBC are not doing what Angelica is doing, and and that's why they have the 2 number one soaps. You think they would? I mean, I love General Hospital. I think Ron and Frank are geniuses. I've only been watching it since October, but like when Ian Buchanan came back, because I love Ian. He's great. He's a great guest. I don't know if you've had him. Yeah, he's a great guy.
I haven't had him yet, but he was
okay. You should. You should.
He is so great. I mean, he's such a gracious person.
Funny and smart, and just and you could listen to him forever. But so I started watching when he came back, and I love General Hospital. I love the pacing. I love the way they use all the characters. I'd say out of all the soaps, it's got more like masculine storylines in a way, with action and stuff. But you don't have ABC doesn't have someone like Angelica, or even the CBS Daytime Twitter account where they interact with fans, and they don't utilize social media like Angelica does, and neither does Days. And Days just got canceled in Australia, and I'm worried that Days of Our Lives might not be on the air. It got renewed through the end of 2014, but I hope, I think they should take a page out of Angelica's book and say, gee, CBS is number one for how many years, and look how she's using social media. Maybe we should do the same thing. I mean, I think all soaps, And I don't understand.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I just one more thing. Sony owns the majority of both Days of Our Lives and The Young and the Restless, right? And in
that's what I understand.
And in most areas, half an hour of each show overlaps with each other. You'd think they would time them so they don't compete,
Yeah, exactly.
They're like the only soaps that are going up against each other, partially. So it's like, and then there was talk about trying to get Eileen to be shared between both shows, but then it's like, wait, so people are going to see Kristen and Ashley at the same time potentially, and then have to choose between. Well, you don't have to. I watch them all online now on CBS.com. But I would think that they would try to, band together and Sony say, okay, let's move the time slots so we're not up against General Hospital or The Young and the Restless or the Bold and Beautiful.
Well, if you think about it, daytime fans, until AMC and One Life to Live came back online, and that relaunched. I mean, daytime
that
fans.
Might not last. That might not last as of today.
Well, the thing about it is daytime fans, they've lost some of their favorite soaps for whatever reason, and it would they're still kind of looking for that afternoon block, and it would be very strategic on ABC, NBC, CBS's part if they made the time block for the daytime soaps to be where everybody's watching it on television, like my mother, for example, who doesn't have internet access.
Right, she doesn't have DVR probably,
switch over, and she would have her two soaps to fill for the 2 CBS that are gone. So and
so it's you either have to choose. Do I want to watch half of The Young and the Restless or half of Days of Our Lives?
Exactly. There would be no decision. You'd just be able to see all of it. Now, what are your thoughts on the AMC and One Life to Live? Have you been watching any of those?
Yes, I actually did start watching them. I fell a little behind because I never really watched them before. And I honestly was never a big Susan Lucci fan. I never quite got it. But she's not.
Yeah.
No, I was impressed. And One Life to Live, I guess I'd watched it more than I realized because people at my work in the break room would have it on, and I knew who some of the characters were from General Hospital. But now Prospect Park announced today, I don't know if you heard that, they're now reducing to 2 episodes a week per show, which is a really bad sign considering how early on it is. And they're in the midst of an expensive lawsuit with ABC, and I just don't think that they're going. I want them to succeed, but it's not appearing like it.
I have not heard. I've been pretty much off the computer all day, so I've not heard that. And
it's all
you're
over
right.
Twitter. You'll see it. You'll see it.
I'm telling you, that is. I mean, they're not even a month old in terms of the soaps being back now.
And they've cut them in half already. They cut.
I started out watching AMC One Life to Live, and first couple episodes of One Life to Live, I've always been a CBS soap girl. So, as I was growing up, it was so taboo to venture off into one of the other networks and watch those soaps. It was like, oh my gosh, your grandmother. Oh, my grandmother would have left me. Oh, my grandmother would have disowned me. So, the CBS was where it was at.
Well, my grandmother watched Days of Our Lives in Boston. Days of Our Lives, they actually, for some reason, on the NBC affiliate in Boston, chose not to air Another World. I don't know why. And they aired Days of Our Lives an hour later, so it didn't go up against The Young and the Restless. Maybe because Y&R and Days had a higher ratings in that market. So, it was like the only place on the East Coast where Days of Our Lives was on at 2. So my grandmother would watch The Young and the Restless from 12:30 to 1:30, take lunch, and then watch Days of Our Lives. I don't think Bold and Beautiful was on then. I was a really little kid, but so I was watching both, but ABC was like a weird thing. If you turn on ABC, it's like, whoa, even the look of the shows were different,
I know, it was weird. It was like, I feel like I'm out of my comfort zone. I better switch back over to CBS before something bad happens. That was always the feeling I got. But I've started watching AMC, and I've started watching One Life to Live, and the first couple episodes of One Life to Live, I was just kind of feeling like I was being carried off into parts unknown, and I wasn't real. It just didn't catch on for me. But no, AMC, I am loving AMC.
I felt the opposite.
I'm really enjoying that storyline.
I felt the exact opposite. It's funny you should say that. Probably only because I knew Todd from watching General Hospital, and they actually had Taya Delgado and Blair had made some appearances on GH and stuff. So I kind of had an idea of some of the backstory on One Life to Live. Whereas on All My Children, I really knew very little. I watched it a couple times maybe, and like at work in the break room here and there. So I didn't really know much about it, and I just but I was impressed with both of them. I don't know. Are they keeping are they keeping like only a week's worth up or 2 weeks worth up because online? You'd think that they would keep more episodes available at the beginning if people fell behind.
It's the last 10 episodes that you can do for free.
So 2 weeks. All right. So I mean,
so
I
2
can
weeks.
actually still catch up. All right, I'm about a week. So
but it's really good, and I've enjoyed it so far. But I'm like you. I really want Prospect Park to succeed. I want those soaps to succeed, even though they're online, because there's a selfish aspect to all this. I would love to see Procter & Gamble sit up and take notice and go, this is going very well. Maybe we need to rethink the whole guiding light as the world turns.
As the world turns, I know.
I mean, that is a dream of mine. I would love to see those two soaps come back. And
my Nana watched Guiding Light was one of my Nana soaps.
Oh yeah, that was my all-time favorite. Then Young and the Restless, then As the World Turns, and it was just great. And I grew up in that era where daytime was always the solid, substantial list of shows that you knew were always going to be there. You never, ever in a million years envisioned that they would be going anywhere.
I know. Well, Guiding Light, my grandmother started listening to it on the radio, for God's sake. And then, they were in the 80s. I remember when I was a really little kid, like, daytime stars were just like rock stars, And, I mean, they were pulling, now I think The Young and the Restless might get like 5 million viewers or something. I mean, they were pulling in 10, 15, 20 million viewers in like the 90s and early 90s or the 80s. It's, or at least double what they're doing now. So there's so many other there's so many other choices. And I personally I like to watch things that I'm more invested in. If I'm invested in the characters and I care about what's going to happen to them and the story keeps going, then I'll watch it again. If something gets wrapped up in half an hour or whatever, an hour, I don't really have any incentive to watch it again. So I've always been a sucker for serialized storylines.
Yeah, me too. And so I hate it. I really hate that they've gone off air. I mean, it's been nice to see some of my favorite actors and actresses elsewhere, since it went off in 2009, but still, it's just not the same. It's really not the same. And I'm just thankful that we still have Y&R and B&B and the soaps that are on network television, Days and GH.
Yeah.
So
I'm grateful. I'm thankful that I think CBS was the first to make their soaps available the same day online, because I think back, 2003 or something, that's I think maybe even 2002. But I literally have watched Y&R on television maybe twice since then. I always watch it on CBS.com because at 5 p.m. on sharp, it's posted there, and it's so convenient because I don't have to stop what I'm doing, or it's just like, sometimes I'll DVR it, but not usually because I'm staying somewhere right now where the DVR isn't really all mine. So, and then Days of Our Lives, though, they don't broadcast online until the next day, so I'm always a Tuesday through Saturday watching that.
Yeah.
But at least I don't have to choose between them. When I was a kid, I had set 2 different VCRs to record them both when I was in school. And,
I know that all too well. I did the same thing, I was like, I looked forward to my summer so that I didn't have to record anything. I could just sit there and every day during the summer and watch the 4 soaps, and that would be what my afternoon would consist of, So
I would have to decide. I'd have to choose. Well, actually, no. In Boston, like I said, Days and Y&R didn't compete for a while, and then the CBS and NBC affiliates swapped channels, and so then the new NBC affiliate decided to start showing Another World, and they put Days back at 1. So then it was like, oh, shoot, Y&R and Days are partly up against each other. So I had to, in the summer, I'd be taping one and watching the other. And, it was, it was, I've always, and then for a while, my parents didn't want me watching them because they were racy, I was sneaking them, but my Italian grandmother would let me. I always let me go over there. She'd give me espresso and candy, and I was like, 10 years old, and I get to watch soap operas.
You were the coolest kid in town, man.
Well, she was awesome. She spoiled me rotten.
As all grandmothers do, you know what I'm saying?
Well, no, my other grandmother, no, she's like a strict school teacher, but.
Oh gosh. Well, I could talk to you for hours and hours, and we've got to do this again in the very near future. I'm up against the clock though because I got another show I got to switch over to in the next half hour.
Right.
So it's like, here we go. But Rob, it's been a blast, man. I mean, I love your music. I love. You pieces. You're a great radio host, and real quick, give the audience, a shout out in terms of where people can find you on Twitter, your website, the whole 9 yards, so they can track you down and listen.
It's very easy. If you go to rad-radio.net, okay, everything is right there. Any shows you want to listen to, you click on the guest picture. It'll take you directly to the show. You can follow all the guests on Twitter. You can follow me and my co-hosts on Twitter. They're about there. There's links. There's a My Music page. There's links to buy my album from everywhere, iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, Google Play. You can buy certain songs on Reverb Nation where 50% goes to charity, and there's also a free 15-song album of bonus tracks I'm giving away. So everything is on my site, rad-radio.net, and the Blog Talk has a new custom player that's even smartphone friendly. So if you have an iPhone or Android or BlackBerry, you can go to the website on your phone, listen to 6 of the latest shows right there directly on the site, or, like I said, just click on the guest picture, and then if you want to listen to a previous show, go to the page that says previous shows and click on the guest picture. It's really simple. I try to make it easy for people. So,
and of course, I have your site linked on our website in our links section. So
I'll
if all else fails, just go to our website, grandeur-of-illusions.com, and you go to the links section and you can find Rob and his site and everything having to do with him. So, and your site is really cool, by the way. I like your site. I love the way it's laid out.
Thank you.
Really
and I have to give a shout out to one of my co-hosts, Scotia, for helping me with revamp the layout a bit. So thank you, Scotia. I love my co-hosts, Scotia, Danny, and Marie. They're awesome.
Yes, they are. Well, thank you so very much for being our special guest tonight. It's been a blast, and let's do it again real soon. And we'll just chat it up about any and everything. Hey, I'd love to. So I don't know. We'll just chat and talk, and just play music and have a great time. To be a party. So
play any of my songs you want, except for my old demos when I was on YouTube, except for the cassette demos when I was 16. I should take those down. But anything
okay. You want, I won't burn you like that, so it's all right.
Anything you want to play from my current album, feel free. So.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you so very much, and we will be in touch on Twitter and let's do it again sometime in the near future.
All right, Don. Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
All right. Take care. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Rob Anthony Dyer. We've been listening to him this evening. He is such a blast, and really, seriously, I implore you to please check out his show here on Blog Talk Radio. It's Rad X Radio or Rad Radio, and he really does a great job. He's had some great guests so far. His show is fairly new. I mean, it's probably a month or two old, but he is doing very well, and so check it out, and you'll love his hosting style. It's very similar to how it was with he and I tonight, just chatting, and I really do love that style. So anyway, before we close, I want to play a song. Actually, he just kind of remastered this, and he told me that it wasn't quite the way he wanted it. Of course, musicians are always perfectionists, and it's never, even if you think it's great, they're going to always critique themselves to the nth degree. And but it's a great song. He just kind of put it out there for people to download the other day, and I grabbed it, and we actually played it on our show the other night. But I want to play it for you again. Really like the song. This is Rob Anthony Dyer, and this is Pull Me Out.
Bury my head in sand.
Rob Anthony Dyer and Pull Me Out. Great song, great artist, and awesome radio show host. Check him out, rad-radio.net. And or you can just go to our website, as I said, thejamminjukebox.com, and you can find him in our links section. All right, that is going to wrap our show for this evening. I want to say a special thank you to Rob Anthony Dyer for being our special guest again, and to all of you, thank you for being here and for tuning in. And if you're brand new to our program, welcome aboard. We hope that you will tune in again, and you'll be right back here with us. And let's see, what do we got on tap coming up next? We are going to be back on Saturday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be back with our Indie Artist Showcase, featuring some of the best indie artist music we have found anywhere. And songs just like what you heard from Rob Anthony Dyer will be featured over about 2 hours. So if you don't have anything going on, you want to just kick back, relax with your favorite beverage for a couple hours, listen to some great music from around the world, tune in right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, Saturday night. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you again on Saturday. Take care, all. Good night.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect with Jammin Jukebox Radio Show on Twitter at Jammin Jukebox or on Facebook at Jammin Jukebox Radio Show. Check out our website at thejamminjukebox.com. Also, follow us on Blog Talk, where you will be always up to date on every episode as we add it. Each episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast, and as always, on iTunes. Thank you for joining us.